Right now, though, let us welcome you officially to the big story. So, President Donald Trump of the United States of America has agreed to delay implementing 50% tariffs on European Union goods until July 9, following a call with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. The tariffs were initially set to take effect on June 1. The European Commission President requested the extension, citing the need for more time to reach what she calls a good deal. Trump stated that the EU president vowed to rapidly get together and see if we can work something out. His own words. This morning I wanted to get the reaction of this development, or to this development, from financial commentator David Wan, who is my guest at this time. Good morning, David. Welcome again to the Richard B. Morning Show. How are you today?
I'm fine. And pleasure to be here, Richard.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. The president has come to some kind of arrangement with the EU through its president, and is delaying tariffs, the increasing tariffs until July 9. Did you see this coming, David?
Yes. I saw it coming not only with the EU, but other countries as well, because each country is trying to get as low a tariff as possible from the U.S. But, I want to step back just 1 second so that your listeners can understand. Before Trump did what he did, every country, there was a system of rules by the World Trade Organization that each country wouldn't have to go individually to the U.S. to negotiate a tariff rate.
Yes.
It was set up by rules, so you didn't have to, negotiate individually. Trump has thrown all that out the window. So each country now has to come and deal with him. Mm-hmm. And the reason why he is in a position of such leverage and power is that the consumer market in the U.S. is the largest market in the world with a good income. So that's why he has so much leverage to say, China, I want you to pay this tariff. EU, I want you to pay this tariff. And the EU especially seemingly is just bowing and saying, okay, take it easy. We want a little more time, etc. So that's what's going on with Trump and the EU.
From the EU perspective, the increasing tariffs of up to, say, 50% as was proposed, would it have serious economic implications for the EU?
Oh, yes. The total volume of goods that the EU exported last year to the U.S. was $235 billion. If that is cut by 30% because of the higher tariffs and the increase in prices, that's $750 million worth of goods, So it is a significant amount. Sorry, 80 billion.
80 billion, yes.
So 236, and 1/3 of that is about 70 to 80 billion.
Right.
That's a big, Jamaica's GDP is 15 billion. So it's 6 times the GDP of Jamaica that would be impacted if they dropped by 30% because of the tariffs.
Yes,
it's big. It's big. It's a big impact.
These tariffs would likely affect, say, the U.S. automotive industry, I believe, as well, which relies heavily on EU imports, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct. But remember, the overall balance is highly in favor of the EU. They sell a lot more to the U.S. than the U.S. sells to the EU. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's important. But, it's very interesting because within the EU, there are countries like Holland, which have a trade deficit with America, not a trade surplus. So I'm watching to see how they're going to deal with individual countries in the EU because some of them have deficits with the U.S.
Well, it seems like once a call is made and the president can say, well, they called me, and he's quite open to negotiation once he gets that call. But if countries are out there playing hardball, then he's going to do just that, it seems, from my perspective.
And that's what he loves. He wants every country to come to him and bow down and say, I want this. Can you lower my tariffs, please?
Most countries
have a trade surplus, like the EU, China, Mexico, Canada. They all have surpluses with the U.S. So that's why.
In the context of the ongoing trade tensions out there right now, how is this decision likely to affect the global economy?
I think it will cause a significant slowdown in the global economy because you have less trade between countries. And I think it's going to cause some inflation because these tariffs are not paid by the countries that export to the U.S. It's paid by the consumers in the U.S. So I think it will have a definite impact. And what Trump is trying to do is to reverse the whole system whereby the U.S. is in a big trade deficit with the rest of the world, driven by China, the EU, Mexico, Canada. That's what he's trying to turn around. But, you know, as they say, Trump may be the wrong answer to the right question. He has identified a problem that's real, but his way of doing it may not be the best way.
Was there any tough talk coming from the EU initially when the president of the United States made the announcement in terms of retaliatory measures? And what might those entail should it get to that?
Well, retaliation in this scenario means that the country, the EU, would put tariffs onto the U.S. goods that are coming to the EU. That's what the retaliation means. They would hike their tariffs too for the goods that they buy from the U.S. So the things that Trump has announced is the tariff on the goods coming into the U.S. Yeah, so that's all it means.
Yes,
they would hike up their tariffs too.
And if you will, David, help us to understand what the potential long-term implications of this trade policy on the U.S. economy would look like.
I think it would cause some more inflation in the U.S., as well as a reduction in general economic activity, because it's importing much less. It's going to take some time for the factories in the U.S. to get up to speed to fill that gap in those goods that are no longer coming into the U.S. from those countries. You can't just build a factory overnight. You have to, get supply chains going, build your factory, etc., etc. And it's also going to affect Jamaica, because a lot of the Jamaican merchants buy goods from the U.S. through wholesalers who buy from China ultimately. But a lot of the merchants here can't afford to buy the quantities that are required for you to deal directly with China.
Yes.
You have to go through a distributor. If that distributor is in the U.S., you're going to get hit with tariffs also.
And that will have an implication in terms of prices and so on back here.
I think so. I think it will definitely have an impact. And economic slowdown here too with the tariffs.
My final question, David, how might this decision influence future trade negotiations between the U.S. and the EU?
I think for the time being with Trump as president, it's going to be rough waters because he's not backing down till the trade deficit is reduced. So this is one set of negotiations. 6 months from now, a year from now, when the real economic impact of the new tariffs, is visible, there may be a further set of negotiations because one of these economies is going to be hit pretty hard economically, either the EU or the US, and then there may be further talks. Those are going to be rough. So as long as Trump is in office, it's going to be a tough relationship between China and the US, EU and the US, and even Canada and Mexico and the US.
Yes, that has already started.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, David, we call upon you in times like these because you are, in fact, a financial commentator and you break it down so that we can all understand. I thank you for your time and your thoughts this morning, and I wish you a great day.
You're welcome. You too.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye now.